Hello and welcome to Horror Legend with your hosts,
Legend.
and Chris. Oh my. Yeah, that was a reference to our movie today. We're watching Black Christmas.
Yes, Black Christmas. Black Christmas came out in 1974, the same year as the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It was directed by Bob Clark. Some of you might actually recognize him this holiday season as the person who also directed A Christmas Story. So I don't know how messed up his Christmases were.
I don't know. I hate that movie, though.
I've actually never fully watched it because I just can't sit through it.
Yeah, horrible. Anyway.
This movie is starring Olivia Hussey. I don't know if anybody else had to do this, but when I was in school, we had to watch that old Romeo and Juliet movie from like the 60s. She plays Juliet in that. She's also in Stephen King's miniseries of It with Tim Curry as Pennywise.
Oh, there's someone else that's from that, too. The house mother was on it, and she is the old woman. That's how she's billed. The old woman.
She was in that, too?
In one iteration of It. I'm not sure which one it was. It might have been the new one, honestly. I'm not entirely sure. Yeah.
We have Olivia Hussey, Keir Dullea, who is Dave in 2001: A Space Odyssey for Stanley Kubrick. Margot Kidder, also from Amityville Horror, the original Lois Lane and Superman.
Yeah, she went crazy.
She did.
That's all I know about her is she went crazy.
Well, she was working on a biography for herself.
Oh.
I think it was like an autobiography, and something happened to it, and it completely erased everything she did.
Oh, God.
And that's when she was found in her yard naked going crazy. It's because she just lost her mind after that.
Oh, I mean, that would kind of... Yeah.
It was something
I get
like
it
that.
now. Okay. Yeah.
Andrea Martin, who has been in many things, My Big Fat Greek Wedding. She was in Difficult People, that TV show, as the main woman's mom.
Yeah.
She actually does come back in one of the remakes in 2006 to be the house mother. And we have John Saxon, who not only plays a detective in this, but is also the main cop in A Nightmare on Elm Street. He just likes to play cops, I think.
Yeah, he's in something else, too. You know, he has a distinctive face because it looks like he has eyeliner on all the time.
Yeah, he's got like really distinct eyes.
Yeah,
it's really and the
the
shape in the shape of his
too.
head.
Yeah, everything.
Or something. It's very.
He's got a distinctive look. Distinctive's another word for. Is he attractive?
Is he attractive, or are we both just single at this target? I'm just kidding. So Black Christmas, basically it is during Christmas break, a group of sorority girls are stalked by a stranger. That's the very minimal main synopsis of this movie.
Minimal synopsis.
It does go a little crazier than that, but that is a pretty good main storyline synopsis. So the original title of this movie was actually Stop Me.
Somebody stop.
Somebody stop me. Yeah, the original title was Stop Me. The director, Bob Clark, thought it would be more ironic. He thought it would be more ironic if it was called Black Christmas because he thought it would be weird if something happened, dark happened on such a happy, festive holiday.
Oh, was it, not originally a Christmas-themed movie?
I actually don't know if it was during Christmas. I don't think
not
it
have
was.
been
Then she changed the title to Black Christmas, and I think they may have turned it into a Christmas movie.
That's easy to do, which is
funny. It is. Especially for something like this.
Because this could easily not be
a
Christmas
you
movie.
could just have it be sorority girls any other time of the year.
Yeah.
They did a Christmas movie, they called it Black Christmas, because he wanted something bad to happen on such a happy festive holiday, and the writer Roy Moore agreed with him, so they switched it around.
That makes it more memorable too, and it makes it something that people could watch every year or something like that. Marketing. Okay.
I mean, can you imagine if they called Halloween anything else? I mean,
Thursday.
The original title for that was The Babysitter Murders.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was one of them.
Yeah, that wouldn't have been
not as impactful as Halloween.
Not as impactful. No. Anyway. Do you want to go over any trivia or anything?
Oh yeah. So well, I had the.
Oh yeah, the stop.
I had the
Stop
title.
needs a
Yeah.
trivia.
I might post more trivia on our Instagram.
Well, that's a good idea. Okay, yeah, let's do that. Let's leave something to the imagination.
Some of the trivia for this one is pretty interesting, though.
So we open up with like the classic horror movie POV of the killer walking towards the house.
Yes.
However, this is one of the first movies to do that, so it's not really,
And it actually is.
It's not like the classic overdone at this point. It's like
yeah. I mean, this came out the same year as Texas Chainsaw, and of course before this we had Peeping Tom in 1960. We had Psycho in 1960.
I've seen Psycho. I've never seen
Peeping Tom.
Yeah.
Those are considered to be the father of the slasher genre.
Yeah.
I would probably consider Texas Chainsaw to be more so that.
Yeah, we were discussing this before we started recording.
Because Psycho and Peeping Tom are a little more psychological.
Yeah.
But this is the first movie to do the POV in the beginning. With
it is the first movie.
As far as I know, because Psycho didn't do that. I don't. Oh, actually, no. Peeping Tom did do that.
Oh.
Peeping Tom had a POV with the killer, so I think Peeping Tom started it.
Okay.
I was just thinking about that. I've seen clips from the movie, and there is like clips of it from the POV.
Oh, okay.
And then this is like the second movie to do that.
Okay.
Because Texas Chainsaw did not.
It didn't. I haven't seen that actually.
Yeah, Texas Chainsaw.
Any iteration of that.
I don't think it did the POV, which of course did inspire movies like Halloween to do the POV in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
Which that was a big one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because these ones kind of started the genre, and then Halloween kind of revolutionized the slasher genre.
Okay.
But yeah, this one and Peeping Tom I think were the two big ones that they got it from.
Okay. Before we get into this, I want to address that the 70s had a particular style of acting.
Yes.
And I mean, this is they were pretty good in this, actually. I didn't have like too much of an issue. There was just some characters that really did that, like, I don't know if it feels like, I don't know what it is. Maybe people just talked like that in the 70s. I don't know. It's like a sort of strange cross between stage acting and like just yelling things. Yeah.
It's like a weird heightened version of talking.
Yeah.
Like it's a more dramatic version of how you would probably normally talk to people.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. I think that does come from the fact that, like, I mean, older acting Hollywood was like stage acting.
Yeah.
And I think as it went on, it kind of went away. But I think, going through the 50s, 60s, 70s, it kind of stayed a little bit. So it was kind of like this, like, you have to put on this, you're putting on a character.
Yeah.
Instead of just trying to be more natural, you're putting on a character.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's like that. The 70s might be like that turning area of that happening.
Because it kind of goes away in the 80s a little bit.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
I think it came out of that a little bit.
Okay. Well, the sorority girls are having a great time, a little Christmas get together for their vacation, beginning of their vacation. Some drinks, getting loose.
Girls just want to have fun.
Margot Kidder's drunk, and she is through the whole movie.
Yeah, Margot Kidder. Okay, so what I love about Margot Kidder in this, though, is she kind of takes on the role of what probably would be the douchey, womanizing frat boy.
That's true.
But it's a woman doing it.
I thought she was going to be like the final girl in this movie. I really did.
Would have been funny.
At first. I really did. I thought she would be great as that, honestly. But, it didn't play out like that.
Yeah.
Or it could have been Andrea Martin,
That's true.
Who
is
young in this one.
Very young.
She's young. I've never seen her young.
I do like that they kind of turn that role on its head, though, because I feel like it would normally be a man playing that kind of character.
Oh, Margot Kidder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas she's just like, I don't care about being sultry or saying, like, crude shit, like, whatever. Like, I'm going to do whatever I want. I get drunk. I don't give a shit. Like,
I mean, she was great.
Yeah.
I loved her character immediately. Oh, and her Christmas choker she had on, too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was great. It was like a girl with a yellow or green ribbon or something.
Oh, my God. I love that story.
They get the first phone call. The first dirty phone call comes after the party dies down, right?
Yeah, the party
Yeah.
dies down. People start to leave. Well, the boyfriends leave and stuff, and then they get like the first phone call.
Yeah.
Um,
It's just like a lot of heavy breathing and.
Well, and you get the idea because she says it's him again, that this has actually been happening before we get to them in the movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
That we kind of caught them in the middle of what's been going on at their sorority house a little bit.
Margot Kidder's character has like the best like reaction to it.
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
She's all like, interesting. Keep talking. But you can't, make phone calls like that anymore because
Caller ID is a thing.
there's caller ID. You can't stalk people anymore anonymously.
Nobody has rotary phones.
No rotary phones. Oh, no. I'm not even saying that. I'm like, I grew up with... No. No, I didn't. I'm just kidding. I had a cell phone when I was like 5.
I had that iPhone back then.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
The killer's calling. Well, we don't know he's the killer yet. He's just a dirty old man at this point. But the house mother shows up, which I didn't know that's who that was at first. But
she's still one of my favorite characters.
She's my favorite character. She is absolutely my favorite character.
She's so funny.
Yeah.
She's like comedic timing and just her reactions to things. I mean, the fact that she's got alcohol hidden around the entire house.
Yeah.
In books cut out in the toilet back with a string, in a shoebox.
So funny. Well, they repeat that character in Krampus in a way. The aunt who was drunk the entire time.
The entire time.
And drinking like random things because she was drinking sherry. She had sherry everywhere.
Oh yeah, it was.
Yeah, that's like such an old lady thing to drink. And then
the sherry.
I think in Krampus she was drinking something weird too. Can't remember what it was. I mean, it was whatever that like nut flavored liquor. Like the almond liquor or something. She was drinking something weird.
She said something about schnapps later too.
Schnapps. That's what she was drinking. Schnapps. That's nasty. Yeah. Okay.
Peppermint schnapps.
Okay, well, she shows up. That is the one that's also billed as the old woman in It, but I'm not sure which It is. I'll have to look that up later.
I think it's the miniseries, but we can check.
Yeah.
But she not only shows up, but they give her a Christmas gift, but it's like the ugliest nightgown you've ever seen.
So funny.
So, of course, she's acting like she loves it.
Yeah. It was like lime green. And I mean, it was the 70s, so it was probably, that was probably the sexy,
right,
nightgown at the time. Like lime green floral pattern.
Lime green floral with the little, like knit thing on the ends of the sleeve.
Yeah. The killer... Our killer is I wrote killa on my notes and it was supposed to say killer. Okay. Is hiding in the closet upstairs. And the prudish girl, Claire. I had to write down these names because I'll never remember them. I just assumed she was going to die first for some reason. I don't know why.
I mean, it gives you that feel.
Yeah, they really give you they give you context clues, if you will. But the killer comes out of the attic, which reminds me of all those true stories of people hiding in attics, and that's kind of creepy.
Yeah,
because there's that YouTube show with Ryan and Shane where they do Are You Afraid? And they tell stories, and they can either be true or not, and they tell you at the end or whatever. They stopped doing the true or not thing, but there was that story of the guy living alone, and just noticing things are moved around or whatever. And he figures out someone's hiding in the attic, or I don't know. It was really creepy. It was very creepy. That was one of those stories that actually creeped me out.
Because I've heard several stories of just because I know there's ones where it's oh, this ended in murder, or this ended in somebody getting attacked or assaulted.
Yeah.
But I also have heard stories of somebody lives alone, but then food starts disappearing. from their fridge or things like that, and then they find out somebody's been living in their attic for like a month.
Yeah.
But it's like not harmful. They just had nowhere else to go because they're homeless.
Yeah.
Of course, like, shouldn't do that. But
it's still creepy.
it's creepy. But yeah, I've heard stories where like it doesn't end super badly.
Yeah.
But then there's a lot of them that it's like, no, this guy was a stalker who was creepy, like ended up assaulting some woman or whatever like that.
Yeah.
And I even saw, this was actually a piece of trivia I saw on there. I didn't like read the entire thing, but that this was based off of I think a couple of murders, they said, where somebody was hiding up in somebody's attic.
Oh, okay.
Before this movie was made, obviously. They said it was kind of based around that type of situation that actually happened to somebody at some point a few years before this movie was made. But, yeah, I mean, hopefully if that's happening to you, it's not the assault guy.
Yeah, it's just some magical old man who's up in your attic just stealing food or something.
Who also has multiple personalities.
Yeah, and he leaves little trinkets. He leaves little trinkets for you.
Yeah.
Like a crow. Okay.
Or a 20.
Or 20. But anyway, Claire dies first. She gets suffocated by, what is it, like dry cleaning plastic or something, I think.
One thing I like about this scene is when she's looking in the closet, if you look close enough, you can kind of see him through the plastic.
Oh.
You can see like a little bit of movement back there, and you can see like a person. You can't make out his face or anything. But yeah, she gets close to it, and it's like, those dry cleaning kind of things that you would keep clothes in, and then he ends up wrapping her up in it and suffocating her to death.
I think when she's like walking towards the plastic in the camera,
you can like
that was pretty cool. That was a good shot, like when it
from
wraps
like,
around her and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Killer POV.
Yeah.
Gets her. Yeah.
And then we cut to Margot Kidder and a foul-mouthed Santa. That was a great scene.
Oh yeah,
it was unnecessary, but I loved it.
It's funny because that's like Andrea Martin's character, Phil.
Yeah.
It's her boyfriend.
That's who that is?
Yeah, it's her. It's her boyfriend because like, during the party,
dad.
I know
He's really old compared to like a college girl.
Listen,
anyway.
We got 30-year-olds playing 20-year-olds. Okay.
That's true, and it was the 70s, so there might have been like a 40-year-old dating a college kid.
Well, plus to be honest, in the 70s, did some kids not just look old?
That is really true.
It's very.
That is actually really true.
But yeah, like foul-mouthed Santa Claus.
Oh yeah, it's like an Andy Kaufman character or something. He looks like he's 50, but he's 20 something. Yeah. Okay. So that was a weird scene, but
it's like they're supposed to be volunteering.
Yeah, I didn't
to
understand
like help.
What was happening.
I think they're like volunteering or like doing something nice. It's supposed to be like doing something nice for the kids. That they set up a little Santa Claus thing for kids to do pictures with Santa and stuff.
Okay. While he's sitting there like, you fucking whore, and like
he's sitting there like, God damn it, I've been looking forward to this fucking trip for her. He's just going up and
fuck. At the end, he just goes fuck.
And you get Margot Kidder, who's like the most foul mouthed out of all of them, being like, "Isn't Santa naughty?" And it's like, "So are you, bitch."
Then there's we go back to the house mother and is it her boyfriend or something? No, it's that guy. It's the murdered girl's father.
It's Claire's dad.
Yes, because he shows up. He's trying to find her just to say hi or something for the holidays.
They're supposed to meet and I think leave together.
Yeah.
To go back with like her family and stuff.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Or I think. Not even leave together. I think he was coming to see her for Christmas, and then he was going to meet her boyfriend thing, and
okay.
But she never, of course, shows up because she's dead.
Yeah,
which he does not know.
No one knows this.
Nobody knows this
except for the killer.
And since this scene, we have seen Claire in the attic in a rocking chair, still wrapped up in that Saran wrap kind of thing, just dead, suffocated, eyes open.
Yeah,
just like a creepy looking doll, kind of.
Yeah. Oh, she has a doll later too.
Yeah.
We'll get to that. This part made I wrote down that I need all the wallpaper in this movie just because it was so 70s. It was 70s. Bright yellow. It was that bright yellow and rust orange like wallpaper.
Oh yeah.
I love that. Just utterly 70s. But the house mom, she was looking for her cat, and I assumed she was gonna die here. Like I really thought she was gonna. They set it up like she's gonna die,
Also,
but then she doesn't.
Side note: I do love that the cat's name is Claude.
I know, Claude.
And I just thought, you know, it would be a really good drag name. Welcome to the stage, D. Claude.
Wow.
D, of course, spelled D-E-E.
Yeah.
It was really bad. Come back to me.
So, you know, they set up like that she's gonna die, and then like my thought was like, God, I hope she's the final girl. Wouldn't that be great?
I think honestly, if that were to happen, she probably would have broken a record for being, even now, the oldest final girl.
Yeah. How old is Courtney Cox?
I think she's definitely younger than this one.
Yeah, okay, maybe. I don't know. I mean, Demi Moore is what?
Oh, that's true.
She looks like she's 20.
Yeah.
The miracles of science.
She thought people don't say over 15. I'm just gonna.
Yeah. So now we're cutting to a scene with what is her name? It's her boyfriend is playing the piano. Jess. Okay.
Jess and Peter.
Thank you. Jess and Peter. So Peter's playing the piano for like a recital or like something. I don't like. Is he auditioning to get into some type of school or something?
I think he is. So they're at the conservatory thing, and he's usually in the room practicing piano. And I think what he's auditioning for is to like be a part of like a symphony or something.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But yeah, before that, we have the talk that she wants to have with him, which is the talk about her being pregnant.
And then she wants an abortion.
She does not want to keep the kid. She wants an abortion. Yeah. And the thing is like, this was made in 74. Like, this is not usually something that was talked about in these movies.
Yeah.
And also, not just talked about, but the fact that she's talking about it, but then also standing her ground and telling a man pretty much that she's like, yeah, this isn't up to you. This is up to me.
Yeah.
Is very like...
Now.
But also, like, it's not... You're adding feminism into it, but you're not throwing it in people's faces. You're making it a part of the story.
Yeah.
And when it's a part of the story like that, it's just better writing.
Yeah.
And I just liked how they didn't make her do the typical, like kind of female character thing where it was like, oh, but we can keep it. I want to marry you. And then all of a sudden she's like, yeah, okay, we can get married. Like, no, she was like, no, I don't want to do that. Yeah. Like, I'm doing this. You're not going to change my mind.
Yeah.
Like, I have ambitions in my life, and this is not one of them right now.
Yeah. If anyone hasn't seen on YouTube Jizz and the Mammograms before, please look that up because they have a song about abortion, and it's just so funny. Get an abortion. Get a fucking abortion today. It's sorry. You gotta watch it anyway. Yes, the piano. After this, he goes to the piano recital. After the little discussion.
After the discussion, he ends up having the actual recital, which of course he flops because all he can think about is the fact that she's pregnant and didn't tell him.
I mean, it looked like he was passing a kidney stone. Honestly, it was
the way he was sweating.
He was like dripping sweat,
going crazy.
I think that was the most intense piano scene in any movie ever.
This one didn't have an intense dinner scene.
Oh no!
They had a moment where they were eating food, but
that's going to take off some rating at the end of this.
But they did change it out for a very tense piano scene.
That's true. That is
which
true.
We never usually get.
Which we never get. So, okay.
So maybe it earned those points back.
The points may be coming back. All right.
They really start setting him up at that moment of him not doing it at the recital to him destroying the piano. They really start setting him up to look like this crazy person.
Yeah.
And look like he has something wrong with him.
Yeah, I mean, that's an expensive piano.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was his or the school's, but...
Yeah. Probably the school's.
Yeah, that's true. Because if it was his, I mean, come on. How much are those? How much is a grand piano? Like
grand piano,
20,000 or something?
I don't like a good one. Probably for like a conservatory like that. Probably they get quality products, and so it's probably
Yeah.
I mean, you can always go to Costco, get a bundle of 6 for... No, I'm just kidding.
What?
Always go to Costco, get a bundle of 6 grand pianos for the price of one.
Oh,
Just kidding.
okay. A bundle of 6?
It was a...
You said, okay, I thought you said a bundle of sticks. I was like, are you calling me...
No, it was a buying in bulk joke from Costco.
Okay.
It was bad. Again, come back to me.
Now there's a search party for the first girl who went missing. The only murder so far in the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Which I was like, this is really far in, and there's like only one murder. Okay.
What I like the search party is like it's not only Claire's father, but then you have this woman now who's saying that her daughter is missing,
Yeah.
and now they have a search party for these 2 girls that are missing.
They never say if those 2 are connected.
They don't.
Yeah.
It's kind
You
of
don't even know if they are.
like implied that they might be.
Yeah.
But they never actually say that, like, oh, the person that... Because the other girl ends up being dead.
Yeah.
They do end up finding her body in the park, but they never really say if it's...
I'm so sorry. I keep coughing.
You're
Okay.
fine. They never really say if it's the same person.
No.
It's kind of an implied connection, or at least just to throw you off a little bit to, like,
Yeah.
make it seem like it could be.
Yeah.
Which, like, I kind of prefer a little bit, because it
Oh,
kind of
yeah,
just...
no. I like the ambiguity in this movie.
This movie was, like,
there's a lot of it.
ambiguity.
I kind of like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't need everything wrapped up in a nice little package, which reminds me of a Instagram reel I sent you today, comparing Kubrick to Spielberg.
Oh, yeah.
And how it was, who was it? It was Terry Gilliam talking about it.
How,
And he
like,
was
all
saying-
of Spielberg's movies get
he's like,
kind of wrapped up in a bow.
They're wrapped up in a nice little bow, a stupid bow. He's like, but like, you know, Kubrick, like he doesn't give you answers to a lot of things.
No, yeah, his comparison was like how even Schindler's List gets kind of wrapped up at the end of the bow, and it's like
because like
the guy
we saved this family instead of like
and the
focusing
guy's,
on 6 million people.
Exactly. It's like the guy still questions, like, you know, that he could have done more.
Yeah.
But the story still gets wrapped up in a bow, and a lot of people in the comments didn't understand that. It's like, no, it's still, the story gets wrapped up.
Yeah.
There's no ambiguity on that. Mm-mm. And sure, he questions if he could have done more, but that's not ambiguous. That's just him questioning what he did and how much more he could have done.
Yeah, I mean,
but like 2001: A Space Odyssey, which Keir Julia is in, who plays Peter in this, they're talking about how the ending is so ambiguous that it constantly makes you question what is going on.
I don't understand that.
Like, did he become God at the end?
Yeah.
Is it like, is he going through some weird time dimension? Like, you have no idea what's happening.
Yeah.
And when you read from the writer and Kubrick, they did that on purpose. Like, he said, like, if you came out of 2001: A Space Odyssey, this was like a quote. He's like, if you come out of 2001: A Space Odyssey and understand what's happening, we didn't do our job.
Yeah.
Because they purposely did not want you to understand what was going on. Because they wanted you to question it.
I love movies like that so much.
Yeah, well, I do too. It can come off a little pretentious in sometimes.
Well, it can. Yeah.
But I still like it because it still gives you room to leave your interpretation rather than just giving you the ending.
Yeah.
Like a Christmas present wrapped with a bow.
You just keep putting your hands in my face.
Right in your face.
Why are you doing
Take this ending. This is the ending.
So the old lady, the house mother, she loses Claude the cat again and goes looking because she hears him somewhere. She hears him in the attic, and so she goes up into the attic.
Which I'm with her because at some point we do see him in the attic.
Yeah.
On the dead girl, but I'm with her in the fact that how the hell did the cat get in the attic? Is that cat climbing that ladder?
Well, you never know. Cats are surprising.
It's very true.
Surprising creatures. And the attic is wide open at all times for some reason too. So
it's just not locked.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Because they have a door.
Oh, yeah, it does close.
It does have a door,
does
but
close.
it's just not
Okay.
locked ever.
Well, she pokes her little head up in the attic, and then she sees Claire's body in the chair with the. I sound like Jeff Goldblum, right? With the chair and.
The attic finds a way.
with the plastic on her face,
Yeah.
and then I don't really understand what exactly happens if she gets like hung in the attic or something. I didn't quite understand the dynamic of what actually happened that killed her.
So he's holding a hook.
Yeah.
He's got a hook on a pulley.
Uh-huh.
So she sees Claire's body. Finally, somebody sees it.
Yeah.
But of course, she can't tell anybody because she gets killed.
Yeah.
And then she hears something behind her. When she turns around, he throws the hook at her, which then hooks into her, and then he pulls her up into the attic. And she died. And then he kills her on the hook. So she's hanging there.
What if it hit her on the other side? You know, that's a really chancy kind of murder because it might have gone wrong.
He took a chance on that.
He took a chance on that one.
What if it just hit her in the head?
Yeah, then
and
she
just made
fell
her fall down
down
the ladder.
Someone hears that.
Yeah.
I mean...
Or, even if it hit her on the other side, what if it didn't pierce her enough to get pulled up into the attic?
Yeah.
What if it missed?
Right?
Like, he took a chance.
He did.
It's creative, but it's very much a chance.
Yeah. And then he goes on some kind of weird rampage where he's throwing things and yelling.
Oh, yeah, it was after the cab driver leaves.
Yeah, because, after there's no one in the house.
He starts freaking out, and if you notice, like, throughout the movie... Like, the first time they get the phone call, it kind of just sounds like one person. And the second, third time, it starts adding more characters into his voices.
Yeah.
And then that moment of freaking out, I think, is him freaking out because somebody's dead. And it's like another one of his personalities.
Okay.
And you hear him mention people like Billy and Agnes and all these people. And I think...
Because I was like, what's her problem?
I think, well, nowadays, I think it's called, like, DID, dissociative identity disorder.
Yeah.
I think back then they called it multiple personality disorder, which is not used as a term anymore.
No.
But I think it might be something with schizophrenia or DID, that he has multiple personalities.
Yeah, because he does call the next time with a baby voice.
Yeah, he's got... Well, and then, then he does the baby voice, which freaks Jess out because he's repeating things that her and Peter were talking about.
Oh, okay,
when Peter came to the house to talk to her more about her having an abortion.
That was actually a later call.
Yes, it was a later call, and then he starts doing the baby voice.
Yeah.
And that freaks her out because... And that's like... I feel like that's more of a hint that where he is.
Yeah.
Like, we know he's in the house. They do not know he's in the house.
Yeah.
And I thought that was interesting that it just escalates more and more with how he's talking and what he's doing.
Yeah.
With his voices and characters.
Yeah, it gets crazy.
It gets really creepy. It's funny from the outside, but like if you were in that situation experiencing that, like that would be terrifying.
Yeah. Yeah.
And also, like the tagline for this movie is, if this movie doesn't make your skin crawl, it's on too tight. And my thing is like, if I was in that situation and then you realize he's been in the attic the whole time, like that would make your skin crawl. Like that's creepy. Like that you feel that like sense of just anxiety after that and anticipation of like just the creep factor that somebody's been in this house the whole time, calling you don't know he's upstairs. Like it's creepy.
It is.
And that's why I think this movie's a little more psychological than it is slasher.
Oh, totally. There's very little blood and very little gore. I mean, there's actually no gore. There's just blood.
The only thing slasher about it,
bit.
kind of like in Psycho, the only thing slasher about it is people being murdered.
Yeah.
But I just don't think, like, just because people are being murdered doesn't officially make it a slasher movie. Because if you're really playing up the psychological aspect of it, it's more of a psychological horror than it is a full-on slasher movie.
Yeah, yeah.
Again, I go back to Terrifier. His movie like Terrifier, that's a slasher movie.
Yeah.
Like it's constant gore, blood, people getting murdered, and it's like a set character thing. And then, very little like psychological messing with. It's like this is a murderer in a costume.
Yeah, a slasher movie. I feel like if it was a sorority girl slasher movie, for me it would be like, oh, they're running around with their shirts off and their titties are bouncing everywhere and they're getting like hacked and like there's blood flying everywhere. You know, that's more of just mindless. Well, there was another Christmas horror movie I think that came out kind of close to this called Silent Night, Deadly Night. I've heard of that one. And it is like a guy dressed as Santa with an axe, like killing people and stuff like that. And it's like, that's a slasher movie. Yeah. Yeah. This and the director, Bob Clark, even said that he thought of this more as a psychological movie than a slasher movie. Yeah. It is, I think. I don't know. And I think that escalation of the killer's character really adds to it. Yeah. But again, a killer with a personality. Yeah. In this case, multiple.
Because again, like we go back to something like Thanksgiving and like no personality, not a memorable killer
Terrible.
whatsoever.
Absolutely
Even
terrible.
for one that's supposed to be campy, it's just not memorable. This one, they don't even show him in the movie, and he's still a memorable person.
Yeah.
because of
Yeah.
the personality of the character.
True.
Yeah.
True. The search party finds a little. Well, they say it's a little girl murdered in the park, but then they say it was a high school girl. But I mean, yeah. they find a. I wrote grill here, but it's girl. Girl.
They find a grill.
They found a grill murder. Girl murdered in the park.
The grill next door.
And then there's just that. We find out that. And then we go back to Jess and her boyfriend, Peter, arguing again about the baby and blah, 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 and he likes to make all of her decisions for her, etc.
He's talking about, like, I think I'm going to drop out of the conservatory.
Yeah.
Even though his dream is literally to be a concert pianist. Concert pianist. But he's like, I'm going to drop out. We'll get married. She's like, and like, it's, at first she's like, I want to stay here because I'm going to do this and you want to do this. And he's like, no, I want to get married. And then eventually she just finally is like, I don't want to marry you.
Yeah.
I do not want this.
Yeah.
And I love that they had that character hold true in her convictions of like, I do not want to do this. I have aspirations that I still want to do.
Yeah. Definitely a feminist message.
Yes.
Movie, which is, well, actually a lot of slasher movies have some slightly feminist messages.
They do. Yeah.
In their own way.
In their own way.
Yeah, there's progressive abortion views in this. Progressive for now too, sadly. This is like a random scene when they were in the detective's office, but I just love the clearly like homemade sign that says detectives on the door.
On the door.
So funny. Anyway. That was just a random thing. But the police do get involved with the phone calls finally. They tap the phone. And there is a surveillance car outside. They only tap one of the lines in the house, though, which I thought they were going to do something with that later, and he calls on the other line or something.
Well, because they said that because there's the two phones downstairs. They're on the same line.
Yeah, and then there's the house mother's.
The house
separate
mother's
line.
is upstairs.
Yeah.
And they said it's a different number. We don't need to tap that one. They're getting calls on this one.
Yeah.
And then you find out later that the killer's calling from the house mother one.
Oh, that makes sense.
That's what he's in a room calling from her phone.
Well, they should have tapped that one too.
Yeah, they should.
Yeah, see, that's the problem. These cops were not thorough, and I'll get to how
not great
they were later.
But they do also, like, other than the detectives, they do also show the cops being pretty incompetent in this movie.
For sure.
Like, not just in the writing, but like on purpose. They show them being incompetent in this movie.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. There is the character that's just called the laughing detective,
yeah.
which is...
Well, and then there's Sergeant Nash, who doesn't understand fellatio.
Oh, yeah,
Margot Kidder was messing
that.
with her.
Yeah,
or messing with him.
Margot Kidder said that there was a new extension or line. How they used to say, like, Klondike 5,
Yeah.
But it was like, it's fellatio. F-E.
Oh, new exchange.
New exchange.
She's like, it's
That's
F-E,
what they're
it's
called.
fellatio.
Yeah.
And he was like, what's that? She was like, it's a new exchange. It's F-E.
That is so funny. Because I just learned what Klondike was a long time ago. Klondike 5. Klondike 5. It just means 555. Because K and L is on 5, so 555.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Klondike 5.
That's
blah,
funny.
Blah, blah, blah. So it was always used in movies.
Oh yeah, then I think the number you're using like everyone was like 555 019
because they don't
like
supposedly don't exist, those numbers.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true. Where did I leave off? Phil. So Phil goes up to bed, which is always a bad idea. They all separated into their own rooms.
Of course.
Yeah, of course. They're just like, it really accentuates that there is no understandable motivation for the killer. Like it's crazy because that's when like he puts the baby doll in what's her name's lap when she's on the rocking chair, and like he's just making weird noises, and you're just like I'm sure there is a motivation, but you don't understand what it is.
Well, that to me, because I mean, when you see this movie, you realize they never show you the killer.
No.
And to me, and you never really know if that's his actual voice or not, because he changes voices so much that you don't know his actual voice.
Yeah.
And my thing is, I thought that adds more to the fact that it's like, it's another unknown.
Uh-huh.
Like, why is he doing that? You have no idea why he's doing
I
this.
love that. I love when there's just no discernible motive for things. And especially, like, I fucking hate when they take a villain, like a classic villain, and give them a backstory, because I don't care. I don't want them to have a backstory. I don't want to know why they're evil. I just want them to be evil.
Yeah, I feel like
Maleficent, things like that. I hate it because like I just want to. That character is just supposed to be just a bitch, just bad.
I feel like it's good to have for some characters, but I feel like there's a lot of characters where like you don't need it.
I don't need it,
and you don't need to overly explain it.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you could even just mention that something bad happened in their past. You don't need to overly explain it.
No, that's why I'm hesitant to watch Wicked. Because I'm like, I don't need to know why. She's the Wicked Witch. We don't need to know why she is. She just, it's in the name.
Yeah. It's just, I mean, and that's, of course, the problem with a lot of prequels is, like, some of them are good, but some of them, they harp on little things and they give you too much information or information that was not needed. Yeah. Or even information that ends up ruining the story of the original because they decided to take it too far with an explanation that doesn't fit anything.
Yeah. Well, Star Wars. Ruined. Completely ruined.
Oh, my God. Well, and that wasn't even just the prequels, that was the sequels, too. Like, I didn't need to, like...
No.
We needed different stories. Like,
we needed different stories.
I didn't need, like...
I don't need Palpatine
We get it.
Again.
Like, it's it's one family screwing up the entire galaxy.
Yeah, really. Like, that's what Dune is too.
It's what Dune is too, yeah.
for
Harkonnens in the Atreides.
Billions of years.
But I don't. When they don't give you anything about this guy, it adds so much to it.
Oh, totally. I love
by
that
doing that thing. It adds so much.
Yeah. So then the killer takes a glass unicorn from Marco's room and stabs her with it.
Stabs with the glass unicorn.
I do like her hand coming up and like breaking the other, glass things. She has lots of tchotchkes.
I like the way that's filmed because like it's not showing her getting stabbed, but you see her hand and it's breaking things.
Yeah.
And the only time you really see full on like blood when he's stabbing her is when it comes up and you see it through another glass item and you can see that the unicorn's horn is bloody.
Exactly.
But it's like distorted.
Yeah.
I just think that adds a little more to that.
So now I understand our first clue for this movie that we posted.
Oh yeah,
because I didn't understand it. Obviously.
See, I've seen this movie so many times. You've never. This is the first time you've seen it.
Yeah.
But yeah, the first clue we used was a glass unicorn, and I was like, "This will make sense later. You will understand." And I love the second the door opened and you see the light hit the glass unicorn. You're like, "Oh, okay."
There we go. I mean, I knew someone was going to get killed, like stabbed with it, because it's obvious. So someone's going to get stabbed with it. But
when you see something like that, even as an ambiguous clue, you're like, "Oh, somebody gets killed with that."
Yeah. Then there's another phone call. And he's doing a lot of voices this time.
Yes.
It's like Rich Little. That is like the oldest fucking joke.
Oh my God.
It's like they use that on the Golden Girls like twice. Who is this? Rich Little? Anyway.
Oh my God.
You can Google who that is.
It's even funnier because if his first name fully is Richard, then his nickname would be Dick Little.
Yeah, Dick Little.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't say Google. Google him.
Google
him. Google. Anyway, which it makes you go, what the fuck is with this guy again? He mentioned something. This is when he mentioned something that Jess's boyfriend said about the abortion. Peter, yeah, I can't remember what he said, but now.
Well, he talks about a baby.
Yeah,
and then he starts talking about killing a baby and things like that. Like,
yeah, it was like the
Yeah.
trivial like nature that he thinks she is having about killing a baby.
Yeah.
Or,
he is adding it basically into his routine of personalities of like, and starts messing with her specifically.
yeah,
By talking about the baby, and that's when Phil wakes up, and she tells her like he said things specific to what me and Peter were talking about. Now this adds even more to the fact that the detective kind of thinks it might be her boyfriend that's doing this.
Yeah.
It also adds a little bit of like to the viewer, like, is it Peter? Could it be Peter?
yeah.
Like
Well,
fucking with them.
it-
And like to me, the execution of that, they could have made it even more so that they were making the viewer think that it could be Peter. Because
well, no, I feel like the movie actually relied on the intelligence of the viewer to know that it isn't him, which I think is I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It didn't like insult your intelligence to be like,
No, it's like,
whoa, you think it might be him?
You're
know?
stupid.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's giving you all the necessary information to be like, no, this can't be Peter.
Yeah.
But then that adds more anxiety to you because you're like, you know it's not him, but they don't, and you're like,
Exactly.
You're like, listen to me, you know it's not him.
It's like the bomb under the table Hitchcock thing.
Yeah, or just like
because you know it's
yeah, or just the, like,
but the characters don't know it's there.
or like the killer's hiding around the corner, and you're like, don't go in there.
Exactly.
I know what's gonna happen, but they don't know what's gonna happen.
And they
Why am I talking like a 30s radio host? I have no idea.
They can't trace the call. They're not staying on the phone long enough. This happens like over and over again.
Oh my god! Also, I wanted to bring that up anyway because
Okay.
sorry.
No.
Is I completely forgot. I made a note about it. How crazy it was to trace calls in the 70s.
It's insane.
The guy's literally running around a warehouse
It's like
with all of the lines shifting to
looking
make
at
sure
the
that
hardware. It's really funny.
it's like watching the lines shift. Personally watching the shift to see where it eventually stops and ends
That
up.
is insane.
Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And to even know what you're looking for with all of those lines going off at the
Yeah.
same time. Oh my god.
That is really crazy.
Although, why did we move away from phones where it looked like the old phone, but the rotary was right inside the receiver? And you just call it, because that's what he did. He literally had a phone that had the rotary right on the phone and inside the receiver.
Yeah.
I always thought as home phones, even the ones where you take it off and it has the dial pad on the phone.
Yeah.
I always thought those were kind of cool.
Oh no, I love old phones. I love I especially like the really old ones that do have like the fancy little
Little handle.
Yeah, the handle that like ting, 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 ting.
Ting, operator.
Operator.
Also, car phones. We moved away from car phones.
Yeah,
That
my
just makes
parents,
sense to
My
me.
parents had one of those, big car phones.
Big car phone.
Yeah.
But yeah, watching him
They
run
were too
around that
cheap to
warehouse.
pay for the service though. They just wanted to have it.
Just never used it.
I think they were just trying to look like they had money. Or
Yeah,
something.
I mean, that makes sense. It's a good way to look like you got money back then.
True.
But also, yeah,
Don't
watching
say
this,
back then. Fuck you.
not the age you were in. But yeah, watching this guy run around a warehouse looking for that line, I'm like, I don't even know how he's doing this. And
No.
that's insane to me. I mean, now it's like, oh, we pinned him on GPS.
Yeah.
As you're watching this guy, and he's like, you have to keep him on the line for like 20 minutes.
Right.
To trace
While we
it.
look around this
While we
warehouse.
run around this
for-
warehouse checking.
The Peter calls next, and we see the little shadow in the background while they're talking.
Yes.
Which is
she has the realization on that phone call because he's acting all sad and weird. He's sounding crazy, and it like his voice I think was meant to kind of match what they've been hearing on the phone.
Yeah.
But then whenever the detective calls after Peter hangs up, she realizes like, no, it can't be him because he was here when one of the first calls was made.
Yeah.
He was actually at the house. So they were thinking like maybe it's probably not him. And plus you see the shadow in the background while they're on the phone.
Yeah, with him. Yeah.
With him. So it's still not like insulting the viewer's intelligence at all, but it's kind of giving this weird literal shadow of a doubt kind of situation.
The This is also when we couldn't figure out what Olivia Hussey's accent was, she is Argentinian.
She's Argentinian.
Yeah.
I always thought she was British. I have no idea why.
Well, I didn't look at her entire biography. Maybe she grew up in England, but she definitely has a very strange accent that was not British.
No.
But now we know. Okay. The cops think it's Peter. It obviously isn't. And then, oh no, Phil dies because she was checking on Barb.
Yes.
Which I really liked her character. She seemed like a very 70s feminist lesbian.
Yeah.
Phil. I liked that character.
With the fro.
Yeah.
The amazing curly fro.
Yeah.
Oh my god. She was one of the sweetest characters too.
I know.
You could tell that, I don't know, you care about her character because she seems to really know each of the sorority girls she's with, and she cares about them.
Yeah. She seemed, it's funny because that character in particular looked much older than
100%.
She's always looked motherly, I suppose.
I swear part of it's those gigantic glasses.
Yeah, that's
which
probably what it
are
was.
also fire, by the way.
No, they were great. I loved her glasses. Then we get another phone call. This is with the "you fat pig." You fat pig, which is.
This is the one that
made me giggle.
Yeah. You fat pig.
You fat pig.
This is the one that lasts 15 minutes and they're able to trace the call.
Yes, they finally trace it, and it's coming from inside the house.
Now, before anybody asks when they watch this movie, that is not where this line comes from.
But he does say it.
He does say it. He does say the call is coming from the house.
The house.
The house.
He doesn't say inside the house.
The original "when a stranger calls" is where the line "the call is coming from inside the house" comes from.
Which we spoof in a little thing we made together.
Yes.
Idiot Box.
Idiot Box.
Episode 3, which we will be editing at some point.
Yes.
It's happening. Just wait for it. Don't hold your breath, but it's happening.
Yeah, we worked on a YouTube show together called Idiot Box with your drag persona.
Yeah. And we spoofed a couple things, like When a Stranger Calls and
the third episode.
Psycho.
Yeah, the third episode.
Well, the third one.
Yeah.
Psycho, something else too, I'm sure. I don't know.
Maybe a horror film.
Tangent. So another call, the fat pig, they trace the call. The surveillance cop is dead in his car, we see.
Yes, they try to contact him.
Time.
He's not answering. And they show the audience before the cops find out that his throat has been slashed in the car.
Yeah. They call Jess, tell him tell her to just go outside.
Yeah, he tells her, he says, don't not scare her. If you mess this up, I'll kill you. Just tell her to walk out the front door. But of course, because Barb and Margot Kidder's character Andrea Martin and Margot Kidder are still upstairs.
Yeah.
And she doesn't know they're dead.
Mm-hmm.
She thinks they're still alive. She is like, I'll go upstairs and get them because she doesn't want to leave them in the house.
Yeah.
And this is when the cop freaks out and says, do not leave the house. The calls are coming from inside the house. Do not leave the house.
Do not leave the house?
Leave the house.
Oh,
he says leave the house. Sorry. Don't leave. Stay in there. He says, no, leave the house. Do not go upstairs. Leave the house.
Yeah.
So we get this moment that I thought Olivia Hussey did very well, which is she goes to the door and she wants to leave, but she can't because they're upstairs and she wants to go get them. So she's yelling for them because she thinks they're alive.
Mm-hmm. And
you can just feel this tension that she has that she just can't. So she's yelling and she's freaking out, but you can tell it's this outburst of anxiety.
Yeah.
And just panic that she's doesn't want to leave them and doesn't know exactly what to do. So you get caught in that moment of tension.
This is how I wrote this.
Oh no.
They tell Jess to go outside and the killer's in the house. And of course she doesn't listen. And instead she makes as much noise as possible instead and goes to confront the killer.
Okay, well, that is not wrong.
I'm like, I'm just gonna scream like crazy and make as much noise as possible. Anyway, I would have just left. I would be like, you know what? They're probably dead. I'm leaving.
I would have left. I probably would have just stayed right outside the front door. I know in that moment I probably would have been outside the front door, like in a total panic. Of, like, what if they're alive? Like, I don't know if they're alive.
But I would have left.
But I would have at least left the house. And just stood out the front door. But no, she goes and gets a fire poker.
Well, I would have been down the street.
Yeah, down the street.
Personally, but
she goes and gets a fire poker, and
then she gets inexplicably locked inside of the house when she runs downstairs. Sorry.
Oh no, they mention so like they mention through the whole movie, and you notice that they have a hard time opening that door. The door's
they
broken.
kept mentioning that door.
The door's broken, and even like the house mother's
foreshadowing that I missed. Okay.
They even the house mother's like, I called that guy 1,000 times to fix this door.
Yeah.
But yeah, she gets a fire poker and goes upstairs. Now, this is one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie.
Oh, it is good, yeah.
Because she goes into Barb's room, but she has to break down the door because it's locked.
Yeah.
And she busts it down, falls to the floor, and she notices both of them dead in the bed.
Yeah.
What I love about this is you then hear his voice, and then you see just his eye staring at her through the crack in the door, which is so creepy. If you were to ever look through that and that's terrifying.
It's Billy. It's Billy.
He's like, "Hello, Agnes, it's Billy." But then, I like that she didn't get so scared that she wasn't able to move. She smacks him with the door super hard and runs. Yeah. And I love that they. I love even this that they still don't show him. All you see is a shadow running along the banister.
Yeah.
And then grabs her hair at some point, and it's like then you just see his hand go down the thing. And it's creepy like that because you really have no idea how close he is to her because they're not showing him.
Yeah.
And then she of course gets into the basement, locks the door, and he's just pounding on the door. And that whole scene right there, when I watched this for the first time, I was like alone, dark house, whatever. That creeped me out so much because it's like they're not showing the guy. Like, this is so creepy. Like, you have no idea how close he is. You have no idea like what he's doing. Like, it's so creepy.
Yeah.
I think to me that's the best executed scene of the movie.
It is good.
But yeah, then we get to the basement.
That's always a good idea to go to the basement.
Go to the basement.
Yeah.
And then
there's some suspenseful stalking first.
Yeah, so suspenseful stalking. You see like a shadow through the window.
It's like a mime, though. It's like very like exaggerated movement.
Well, because you see, you hear his footsteps walk away from the basement door, and then you hear a door close, and you don't know if it's the front door. You don't know if it's another door. Yeah. And then you see the shadow stalking through the basement windows.
But it's actually Peter.
But it's Peter. He shows up again. He sees her in the basement, as I think he heard screaming, because obviously he's just been outside the house this whole time because he's super distraught.
Well, here's what I wrote something funny, because like she doesn't know, like when he comes in, she doesn't know if he's the killer still.
Yeah.
Because he is acting like a creep.
Be fair. He's acting super weird.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like, at the end of the movie, like, because...
Even when he's walking up to her, he's like,
I didn't know. Like, why are you down here?
Why are you down
here? It's,
like,
so creepy. And it's like, yeah, of course she's got a fire poker. She's going to hit you. She just went through a traumatic experience.
Yeah.
And you, being outside after that just happened...
Right.
...is kind of clicking the dots to her that you might be the person doing this, even though you originally thought not.
Yeah.
So it's like you're just not helping yourself by like breaking a basement window to get to her.
And acting so weird.
Acting like you're trying to be helpful, but you're acting creepy as fuck. You're acting so creepy. So yeah, then the cops show up. They realize that the detective outside is dead. And then they end up in the basement and they see Peter dead in her lap. And then she like wakes up from this like in shock trance that she's in for a second.
Yeah. And then she's in bed, and they're all around her. Yeah.
The ending of this movie, what I like about the ending of this movie, because I know it's like, oh, like, somebody should have stayed in the house.
Well, so what I was thinking, and what I wrote here, is they leave Jess unconscious and alone in a crime scene.
Yeah. It is a crime scene, technically.
Well, yeah, there's like blood everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, no, that would not happen. Even in the 70s,
like,
I don't think that would happen.
Well, and that's the thing, too, about it, is like...
She would go to a hospital.
Well, that's the thing, is I feel like she'd be passed out of hospital.
Yeah.
And the thing is Claire's dad's in the room, and he ends up passing out with the realization that his daughter most likely is dead.
Yeah.
And they take him to the hospital.
Yeah.
They don't take her to the hospital.
No, they don't. They leave her in this
They
house.
leave her there to wait. And what I like about the ambiguous ending is you do see, obviously, the killer again in the attic and hear him talking, and the door open because Peter's obviously not the killer. He's still in the house. Nobody does a sweep of the house.
See, no one did any sweep of the house. Those bodies in the attic, I'm sure, were smelling.
Are still not found.
I just don't. Yeah, like that was like the worst police work.
Oh my god. The thing I like about the ending though is like because you have that moment, and I think she's still alive. And the reason I do is because at the very end, when he comes out of the attic, you hear the phone ring again.
Yeah,
you can keep hearing the phone ringing.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe he doesn't know that she's in her room. So you have this weird moment of like, is he gonna kill her? Does he know she's there? Is it going to happen? The policeman's outside. He doesn't know anything.
Well, then I'm thinking, like, does the cop go in and pick up the phone after that?
Yeah,
maybe.
You have no idea.
You don't know what happens.
It's kind of an ambiguous,
ending.
uncertain ending.
Yeah.
Which gives weird implications.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, if you were ever a cop in this situation, you do a sweep of the house.
Yeah,
and you
none
don't,
of that.
You don't just leave a cop outside the door. You have one outside the door, and then you have one inside.
Yeah, none of that ending
in the room with her, just in case something happened.
Was like,
but there's
anywhere near correct police procedures.
Exactly.
But
they're so certain that it was Peter now.
Yeah.
That they just gave up on like actually looking for a person. They're so certain it's Peter that they're like, oh, it's that.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. Anyway, problems that I have aside with the ending. I mean, and it wasn't like I like the uncertainty of the ending. I just didn't like just the logistics of it. Like, it bothered me. So, but otherwise,
I say to a lot of people when they ask me about this movie, because this is one of my favorite horror movies.
Yes.
That this movie is genius, and it's not genius because it was executed like perfectly. Because it's not executed perfectly. There's definitely certain things about it that are not executed perfectly. Yeah. It's the 70s.
Yeah.
It's genius because of the concept and what it does. Not showing the killer, creating another unknown, making it more psychological. Like, there's many things that it does that are very genius for a horror movie. But again, not executed perfectly.
No.
And this one does that so well, in my opinion, with the unknowns and the ambiguousness. So there were 2 remakes of this movie. There was one in 2006 called Black Xmas. Whatever. Andrea Martin actually comes back to be the house mother in this one. It's hilarious. But it's got people like Mary Elizabeth Winstead in it, and a few other like kind of well-known actors. Lacey Chabray's in it from Mean Girls. Who played Gretchen Wieners.
Yeah,
she's in it. It's like probably one of the only other movies I've seen her in. The thing about the 2006 remake is in the mid-2000s, we got a lot of R-rated horror movies that were very much just slash them up, gore, shock value.
Yeah.
Not really any story, not really creating any ambiguousness. It was just all about the gore, slash like slasher shock value. In this one, of course, we know nothing about the killer.
Yeah.
In the 2006 remake, it not only shows the killer, it gives you way too much information about the killer. It turns it into a whole like that sorority house is where Billy used to live with his family, and then it got turned into a sorority house, and he ended up like having some weird incestuous relationship with his mom, and then gave birth to Agnes.
Oh, okay.
That comes in. So it's like some weird incest baby thing, and not only that, his skin is completely... I remember his skin being yellow, like he's just full of... like he's just jaundiced out.
Interesting.
I mean, there's a whole scene where he killed one of his mom's boyfriends, I think, and then made skin cookies with a gingerbread cookie cutter.
Oh,
and then they ate skin cookie. Like, it's just too much. Like, they go way too far with it.
Yeah, that's unnecessary.
It's unnecessary. Yeah. It's like, I understand... modernizing it, and stuff, but like, and you could still do that well, modernizing it and not show who the killer is.
Yeah.
I just feel like it just went way too far into the backstory.
Yeah.
I mean, in the ending scene is like they're in the hospital. He like ends up attacking them in the hospital. It's like a whole thing. I don't hate the 2006 remake. Obviously, for that time, it was like kind of just what those movies were.
I mean, again, as I was saying, I don't need
it.
the backstory.
It's not necessary. There was another remake in 2019 that was called Black Christmas again. This one, I mean, I heard several things about it. I heard girl power movie because it's very much a sorority fighting against a killer that they find out is like the fraternity doing some weird creepy ritual thing.
Yeah.
It's a whole thing. And it's like, yeah, girl power movie. But then also I read another review that was like, if this movie was any more woke, it wouldn't be getting any sleep. And my issue with things like that, I don't care about things being woke, obviously.
Yeah.
The thing is like, if you kind of shove it in the viewers' faces and have to constantly remind them of it, it's not good writing.
Yeah, I mean, there's like heavy-handedness with things.
Too much heavy-handedness.
Yeah.
And I think that's what the 2019 remake did, was way too much heavy-handedness.
Okay.
Like, I don't need that.
Yeah.
Like, you can make strong female characters without having to constantly tell me that they're strong female characters.
Yeah. I'm a strong
female character.
I'm a busy businesswoman, and you need to listen to me.
It's like, well, it's like the original had that level of feminism.
Yeah.
As a part of the story.
Yeah, it was
with
very...
her character being like, I don't want to marry you. I'm getting an abortion. This is my decision. And it wasn't like her shoving it in your face.
No,
it was just a part of the story.
Laced into the story. There wasn't a huge deal made out of it necessarily.
Good writing is not having to shove it completely in people's faces. Like, you can add it to the story and make it nuanced, and it's a good story.
Yeah.
But if you're constantly having to remind the audience, like, yeah, these bitches are strong. Like, it's just like, we get it.
Yeah.
Like, just show them in the movie fighting for their lives and winning, or like just being like not the typical female character.
Yeah.
And we're going to understand that these are like intelligent, strong characters.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to tell me constantly that Ripley in Alien is a strong character for me to be like, no, she's very intelligent and knows what she's doing.
we definitely know the power of Sigourney.
Yes.
At the beginning of... Before we talked about this, before we recorded this, I may have given this a possibly lower score. But... No, I mean, it's a good movie. But I
get it.
I think with, like, actually discussing this, I'm going to give this a solid 4 glass unicorn heads. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to give it 4 glass unicorn heads and a unicorn horn for half of that.
So 4.5, yeah.
At least a 4.5 for me. I mean, I love this movie so much. And I feel like if they ever do another remake of this movie, which, God, I hope they don't, to be honest. But if they ever do another remake of this movie, just look at the material.
Yeah,
look at the source material.
Look
Even if you did a remake of this movie and still made it take place in the 70s so that you still had the old phones, you didn't have the internet, you didn't have all this stuff. I mean, even if you did a newer version and found some way to incorporate the cell phone thing and the GPS and whatever, you could probably do that.
Yeah.
But again, you don't need... And this goes for like a lot of movies, is you don't need to get so far into a backstory of some character.
No.
Because, to be honest, it kind of ruins it. It ruins the ambiguousness and the unknown factor of a movie to know every little thing about that person.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever really, truly loved a remake of anything, honestly.
There's only a few remakes that are good. I mean, Evil Dead.
Oh, well,
had
that
a good
was
remake.
Absolutely wonderful.
Actually, the
that
remake
was because the original was just so bad.
It was so campy and crazy. The remake of Texas Chainsaw Massacre is actually really good in 2003.
I haven't seen either one, so we're probably gonna have to watch those at some point.
Toby Hooper did the original. Guy who did Poltergeist.
Okay.
But yeah, the remake of that's pretty good. There's a few out there, but I just don't think everything needs to be remade. Obviously,
no.
And if you're gonna remake it, please look at the source material. Please look at the original and why it was successful. And, like, you can make it a remake your own, but don't, like, get so far into it that you just end up ruining the, like, unknown or the ambiguousness or, like, what made the original like how it was, or like how like the thing that made it good.
Yeah.
Go off of the thing that made it good and try to make it your own.
Well, this has been a plea and a public service announcement from Legend on how to create.
Listen to me.
Well, thank you for listening to this episode. We are going to take a week off for Christmas.
Yes, we will be.
I don't celebrate it. It's like Yule for me or whatever. But, nonetheless.
We will be taking next week off just because the holidays are a little crazy. And
they're crazy.
They're crazy. And I think then the next episode will be the first week of January.
Yeah, January 3rd, I believe. Yeah.
January 3rd. So normally we do post clues of what the movie's going to be.
Yeah.
We actually were thinking of starting to fully just say what movie we're going to do next, just so everybody can watch it with us.
I think it'd be good that people have an opportunity to watch it before before the episode. They have like a whole week.
Yes.
To watch it.
Yeah, so we're going to start telling you.
Well, let us know if we should do that in the comments or something.
Comments.
Let's give them the illusion of choice.
Yeah.
Jeez.
That is the illusion of choice. And also in the comments, please leave any questions.
Please.
We would love to have things to open up episodes with and to talk about before we get into the movie.
Yeah.
If that has to do with horror movies, or if that has to do with us personally, if you want to get to know your hosts a little more within reason.
I mean, we did manage to talk for about an hour on this one, though. So.
I'm an open book.
Anyway, thank you. Subscribe, like.
Follow us on Instagram.
Horror Legend Pod.
Blue Sky.
All of that. Yeah.
And we would like to thank all of the consistent listeners that are keeping our numbers high a little bit and getting involved. We love it. I mean, I love to see people comment, even if it's not a question, just saying how we're doing, or maybe even things that could be improved. You never know.
Yeah. Threatening messages.
Death threats.
Love to see it.
We love secret admirers.
Well, until next time. Goodbye.
Bye. Goodbye.